Apart from stomachache, the only time a bodybuilder can say his abdominals are abominable are when he is in the middle of a contest and realizes that his fellow competitors have licked him hollow for abs. Definition. The biggest letdown I have seen any time in contest is the instruction during the preliminaries from the judges. Now tense your abs. Some top men are faultless in this respect. Grudgingly, I admit that it is a real pleasure to watch the rippling rectus and obliques abdominis when strength athletes like Al Beckles and Peter Phillips harden the muscles of the stomach region. When many other bodybuilders tense abs, watching is not such a pleasure. Flab is not fab. There was a time when defined abdominals were not so important. This was during the forgotten era of the big bulk craze, when you just need to be big, big, big. Today, the accent in physiques is a clean-cut muscle separation with chiseled definition. So it is rather surprising that some men have the gall to think that they do not need more than just a little work on that flabby midsection. So if you think that you are now about to read about how to develop your abs, forget it, because this is about perfection. I will assume that you have been through the usual preliminary work of double leg raises and sit-ups. All very nice, but it is high time you left that little girl stuff behind you. Perfection is not that easy to grasp. The first point is that abdominal work alone may not be enough. Having seen so many young bodybuilders struggling to reach the heights of muscledom on the posing platform, one lesson stands out immediately. A midsection needing some work on it may not be confined to just that. It may be indicative of a fatty layer over all the physique. This is more often the case than you might suspect. The first step is to take a leaf of the boxer's training book. This does not mean that thousands of muscle men will now be springing out of bed at 6 a.m., donning tracksuit and running shoes, and belting hot foot down the highway, much as I would like them to occasionally, so long as I could be allowed to stay in bed thinking about it. But it does indicate a need for incorporating some running training in the early part of your advanced abdominal work. No need for becoming alarmed, as so many muscle men do at the idea of a little running that might lose them some of their precious size. Only a little of this jog-trotting lark has to be put into your training, fortunately. As for the fear of losing some body weight, let us remember that it is impossible to lose hard muscle this way, only excess fatty tissue. Do not run away, horrible pun, with the idea that you have to work in hours of grinding road work. The only stipulation as far as you're concerned is that you stick an extra 10 minutes onto your barbell workout and you spend this time in going in some kind of short run. This may well be all that is necessary to start that external fatty layer sliding away. From then on, you start your real stomach work. I am taking it for granted that you will have worked up to a gentle 3 sets of 50 sit-ups, followed by a sweet 4 sets of 25 double leg raises. Well, maybe I tend to take a lot for granted, but the truth is that you're going to have to hit something like that in order to be ready for the next step, which is to intensify the range and severity of the abdominal work. The usual way of doing abdominal raises, otherwise known as sit-ups, is lying flat with your feet held. You do them now while lying across a bench. This means that the hips are supported, but nothing else. To prevent total collapse under pressure, the toes are gently held. Just enough to stop the heels rising. You start with 3 sets of 15 repetitions, hands clasped behind the head. In other words, the resistance is the weight of the torso. After 4 workouts, which include this in your program, you hold a light barbell across the upper chest to increase the resistance to the stomach muscles. I am aware that the description light is comparative. As a rough guide, may I suggest 50 pounds, taking care that whatever the weight of the bar you are holding, the full 15 reps per set are being done. To get those abs cut really deep, you cannot afford to lessen the number of counts below 15. 2 more weeks of this, and it will let you add a 10-pound disc to each side of the bar as a special treat. Now that your abdominal work is extending the range of movement of the aponeurotic sheet, you can think about incline sit-ups. The muscle work is different enough from that involved in the Roman chair sit-up, the one across the bench, to enable you to etch some more furrows in those rippling abs. Incline boards of professional purchase are obviously the best. Look at the range of Everest equipment and you will see that such boards are capable of gradual progression. You start with very little incline, but you do have a 15-pound disc held behind your head. You tear through 2 sets of 25 repetitions during each workout for at a very least 2 weeks, which should give you a minimum of 6 workouts, and then raise the board up 1 notch. Probably the steeper incline will cause you to only use a 10-pound disc. As soon as you can move back up to using the previous 15-pound disc, please do so, or even 20 pounds if your stomach is really stronger. 3 weeks of this and your progress is marked by yet another incline of the board. You lucky fella. This time the angle is probably so steep you may have to think in terms of a mere 5-pound disc, or worse, still just your hands clasped behind your head. When strong enough, add to the weight, but stick to the 2 tough sets of 25 reps, whatever the resistance. So much for the deeply cut ridges of the top part of the rectus abdominis. As an unexpected bonus, you will see obliques beginning to sprout from the sides, the long fingers of muscle joining up serratus magnus with the rectus abdominis of the best top 5 men in the muscle world today. I would think that the incredible new physique of Rick Wayne shows these to the greatest advantage. Now we come to the advanced development of the lower part of the abdominal muscles, called iliopsoas. Although covered usually by average swimming trunks, they are seen when in posing slips. Frank Zane probably tops everyone else when it comes to this portion of the abdominal definition. It is not simply that the lower stomach is flat without any trace of fat. There is an actual formation, a flat plane slab of muscle. Early Greek and Roman statues showed this well. Your key exercise is the double leg raise with all its variations. From several weeks of toughening work with leg raises while laying on the mat, you take the first progression to leg raising while lying on the bench. Ensure that the hips are resting on the very end. In this way, the legs have to go down further than before. Probably you will need to hold on to the bench to prevent toppling over. In the basic form of double leg raise, the legs are taken with straight knees and pointed toes in a long forward arc until they form a right angle with the torso. This is more difficult than it sounds. Keep your back and your hips flat on the bench. This will help to isolate the muscle work to the lower abdomen and prevent assistance from other muscle groups which we are not trying to work at the moment. When you return slowly back downward, you still maintain those knees locked straight, and you go all the way until the heels touch the ground. When you start the upward concentric, return immediately. The higher up your bench, the more effective the pure muscle work and the faster you make progress. If you are really tough, you may be able to do that movement with a pair of iron boots straight away. Failing this, work gradually towards that kind of abdominal power and use something like 3 sets of 15 repetitions to get on the same posing platform as Zane someday. Also use your inclined abdominal board for this movement, operating the sequence of progression in exactly the same manner as you did for the sit-ups. The total amount of stomach specialization work given may sound like a lot. However, if you compute just what you need for each workout in the progressive given, you will see that it hardly accumulates to more than 1/10 of the normal advanced training session. Not really such a big price to pay for perfect abs, is it?